Ecological succession. An important characteristic of all communities is that composition and structure constantly change orderly and sequentially in response to the changing environmental conditions. This gradual and fairly predictable change in the species composition of a given area called ecological succession. Ecological succession finally leads to an establishment of a relatively stable community that is in near equilibrium with the environment and is called the climax community. A several community is an intermediate stage found in ecological succession in an ecosystem advancing towards climax community. The entire sequences of communities that successively change in a given area are called series. SCRES. In ecology, allogenic succession is a succession driven by the abiotic components of an ecosystem. An allogenic succession can be brought about in a number of ways, which can include volcanic eruptions, meteor and comet strike, flooding, drought, earthquakes, and non-anthropogenic climate change. Autogenic succession refers to ecological succession driven by biotic factors within an ecosystem. Autogenic succession is a form of a secondary succession because of pre-existing plant life. Predation. Predation is an interaction in which one organism, the predator, eats all or parts of the body of other organisms they prey. The prey. Herbivory is a form of predation in which the prey organism is just a plant. Predator and prey population affects each other dynamics. The sizes of predator and prey populations often go up and down in linked cycles. Besides acting as conduits for energy transfer across trophic levels, predators play other important roles. They keep prey population under control, but for predators, prey species could achieve very high population densities and cause ecosystem instability. If a predator is too efficient and overexploits its prey, then the prey might become extinct, and following it, the predator will also become extinct for lack of food. Competition. Competition is most typically considered the interaction of individuals that vie for a common resource that is in limited supply, but more generally can be defined as the direct or indirect interactions of organisms that leads to a change in fitness when the organism shares the some resource. Parasitism. Majority of the parasites harm the host. They may reduce the survival, growth and reproduction of the host and reduce its population density. Cuscuta, a parasite plant that is commonly found growing on hegged plants, has lost its chlorophyll and lives in the course of evolution. It derives its nutrition from the host plant which its parasites. Mutualism. This interaction confers benefits on both the interacting species. In many species of fig trees, there is a tight one-to-one relationship with the pollinator species of wasp. It means that a given fig species can be pollinated only by its partner wasp species, and no other species. The female wasp uses the fruit not only as a oviposition egg laying site, but uses the developing seeds with the fruit for nourishing its larvae. The wasp pollinates the fig inflorescence while searching for suitable egg laying sites. In return for the favor of pollination, the fig refers the wasp some of its development seeds as food for the developing wasp larvae. Decomposition. The process of breaking down of complex organic matter into inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, water and nutrients are called decomposition. The important steps in the process of decomposition are fragmentation. Detrivores like earthworms breaks down detritus into smaller particles in a process called fragmentation. Leaching. By the process of leaching, water soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil horizon and get precipitated as unavailable salts. Catabolism. Bacterial and fungal enzymes degrade detritus into simpler organic substances by the process of catabolism. Humification. It is a process that leads to the accumulation of a dark colored amorphous substance called humus. Mineralization. It is the process of further degradation of humus by some microbes and the release of inorganic nutrients. Fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humification, mineralization. Eco-industrial revolution. It uses a closed loop production cycle to tackle a broad set of environmental challenges. Eco-industrial revolution, it refers to a new source and efficient production system generating minimum waste. Eco-industry or industrial ecology is to make industrial manufacturing process more sustainable by redesigning the industrial processes along the pattern of natural processes. One way is by recycling or reutilizing most of the industrial waste. Networking of different industries in complex resource exchange web where the waste of one industry is used as a raw material for the other and so on. Industry should strive for higher efficiency of energy and resource use. Ecosystem diversity. It refers to the presence of different types of ecosystems. For instance, the tropical South India with rich species diversity will have altogether different structure compared to the desert ecosystem which has far less number of plant and animal species. Likewise, the marine ecosystem, although has many types of fishes, it differs from the freshwater ecosystem of rivers and lakes in terms of characteristics such as variations at ecosystem level are termed as ecosystem diversity. National Plan Montreux record. These sites may be added or removed from the record only with the approval of the contracting parties in which they lie. Montreux record. The Montreux record is a register of wetland sites on the list of wetlands of international importance where changes in ecological character have occurred or occurring or likely to occur as a result of technological developments, pollution or other human interference. It is maintained as a part of the Ramsar list. The Montreux record was established by recommendation 4.8 of the Conference of the Contracting Parties 1990. It aims to identify priority sites for positive national and international conservation attention. These sites may be added or removed from the record only with the approval of the contracting parties in which they lie. The wetlands of India mentioned in the Montreux record are Koladeo National Park, Rajasthan; Loktak Lake, Manipur; Chilika Lake, Odisha was placed in the record in 1993 and was removed from it in 2002 the rehabilitation efforts of the government. Particulate pollutants. Particulate matter suspended in air or dust and soot released from the industrial chimneys. Their size ranges from 0.001 to 500 in diameter. 500 mm in diameter. Particles less than 10 mm float and move freely with the air current. Particles which are more than 10 mm in diameter settle down. Particles less than 0.02 mm form persistent aerosols. Major source of SPM suspended particulate matter are vehicles, power plants, construction activities, oil refinery, metallurgical process, railway yard, market place, industries, etc. Mangroves. Mangroves are tolerant to high temperature. Mangroves represent characteristical littoral near the seashore forest ecosystem. These forests grow in sheltered low-lying coast estuaries, mudflats, tidal creeks, backwaters, currentless coastal waters held back on land, marshes and lagoons of tropical and subtropical regions. They are distributed over the east and west coast and island of Andaman and Nicobar. Since mangroves are located between the land and sea, they represent the best example of ecotone. Characteristics of mangrove ecosystem. The mangroves include a diverse composition of trees and shrubs. Plants are well adapted to high salinity and high temperatures also. Resistant to tidal effect, tolerant to high temperature. Roots bear pneumotopher or aerial roots, which is an aerating system. Constitutional provisions in India to protect biodiversity. Under Article 48 of the 48A of the Indian Constitution, it is stated that the state shall endeavour to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. Article 51A of the Constitution of India specifies fundamental duties of every citizen. It is the duty of every citizen of India to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired the national struggle for freedom, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to value and preserve the rich heritage of the composite culture, to protect and improve in the natural environment including forest, lake, rivers and wildlife, and have to compassion for living creatures, and to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels and of individual and achievement. Eco-labeling. Eco-labeling of environmentally beneficial goods and resources extracted by more sustainable methods can help consumers decide which goods and services to buy. Product eco-labeling can encourage companies to develop green products and services and help consumers select more environmentally beneficial products and services. Eco-labels are also being used to certify that the fish bearing eco-labels were caught by using sustainable fishing methods, and also for timber products to certify that trees were harvested in accordance with by sustainable forest management principles. Fly ash. Fly ash is the finely divided residue that results from the combustion of pulverized coal and is transported from the combustion chamber by exhaust gases. It is produced from the combustion of coal in electric utility or industrial boilers produced by coal-fired electric and steam generating plants. It consists primarily of oxides of silicon, aluminum, iron and calcium. Magnesium, potassium, sodium, titanium and sulfur are also present to a lesser degree. Environmental treaties and conventions. Environmental treaties and conventions. The Basel Convention on Control of Transboundary Movements of Hazardous Waste and their Disposal was adopted in 1989 and entered into force in 1992. The Rotterdam Convention on the prior informed consent procedure for certain hazardous chemicals and pesticides in international trade was adopted in 1998 and entered into force in 2004. The Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants is a global treaty to protect human health and the environment from chemicals to remain intact in the environment for long periods. Parivesh. It stands for Proactive and Responsive Facilitation by Interactive Virtuous and Environmental Single Window Hub. It is a single window integrated environmental management system developed in pursuance of the spirit of Digital India. It is a web-based, role-based workflow application which has been developed for online submission and monitoring of the proposals submitted by proponents for seeking environment, forest, wildlife and CRZ clearances from central, state and district level authorities. Forever chemicals. Rainwater from many places across the globe is contaminated with polyfluoroalkyl substances (PFAS), which are called forever chemicals because of their tendency to stick around in the atmosphere, rainwater, and soil for long periods of time. The per and polyfluoroalkyl substances (PFAS) are a group of chemicals used to make fluoropolymer coatings and products that resist heat, oil, stains, grease and water. PFAS can migrate to soil, water and air during their production and use. Since most PFAS do not break down, they remain in the environment for long periods of time. Many PFAS including perfluorooctane sulfonic acid and perfluorooctanic acid are a concern because they do not break down in the environment, can move through soils and contaminate drinking water resources, build up in fish and wildlife. About Miyawaki forest. Miyawaki is a technique pioneered by Japanese botanist Akira Miyawaki which helps build dense native forests. It is effective because it is based on a natural reforestation principles, that is using trees native to the area and replicating natural forest regeneration processes. It has some significant benefits over more traditional forestry methods when used in smaller afforestation projects and is particularly effective in the urban environment. The trees planted by this method grow much faster, starting the forest creation processes and capturing more carbon. The approach is supposed to ensure that plant growth is 10 times faster and the resulting plantation is 30 times denser than usual. It involves planting dozens of native species in the same area and become maintenance free after the first 3 years. Criticism of Miyawaki method. Critics have accused him of shilling for corporations like Toyota, which have contributed to deforestation in places such as India and creating monotonous looking forests that are expensive to boot. Miyawaki forests can only be grown at smaller spaces in or near cities. Such forests also lack some qualities of natural forests such as medicinal properties and the ability to bring rain. Miyawaki forests are very dense, which restricts the movement of any possible wildlife the forest might attract. Experts are the opinion that nothing can replace something that is very natural in its form, like natural forest. However, it cannot be denied that these plantations can supplement and complement them. Biogas is based upon the use of dung product produced gas, which is used as domestic fuel especially in rural areas. Biomass has always been an important energy source for the country, considering the benefits it offers. It is renewable, widely available, carbon neutral, and has the potential to provide significant employment in the rural areas. The technique is based on the decomposition of organic matter in the absence of air to yield gas consisting of methane 55% and carbon dioxide 45%, which can be used as source of energy. Benefits of biogas. Biogas can play a critical role in transforming the energy dependence on rural and agricultural communities, which majorly depends on burning wood, dung, charcoal, coal and other fossil fuels for their energy needs. Installing biogas plants at the micro and macro level can address the critical issues of handling livestock manure and agricultural waste and deteriorating soil quality, water pollution and deforestation. A fully functional biogas digester for every ton of feedstock processed can reduce approximately 2.83 tons of carbon dioxide emission in a year. Community reserve. Community reserve fall under protected areas under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The state government may designate any community land or private land as a community reserve if the members of that community or individuals involved agree to offer such areas for the protection of fauna and flora as well as their traditions, culture and practices. The designation of such an area aims to improve the socio-economic conditions of the people who live in such areas while also conserving wildlife. Senna spectabilis. An invasive species, Senna spectabilis, is an exotic tree. The species has taken over between 800 to 1200 hectares of the buffer zones of the Mudumalai Tiger Reserve. The species has now become highly invasive in the Sigur Plateau in both the core and buffer zones of the Mudumalai Tiger Reserve. It is native species of America, introduced to India as an ornamental plant. Senna spectabilis belongs to the Fabaca family and is grown as an ornamental plant across tropical America. This invasive species is very hardy and survives under challenging conditions. Removing it is a big task and eradicating it from a landscape can take years. It can grow 7 to 18 meters tall, is evergreen in climates with rain all year round, but it can become deciduous in some regions and produce yellow flowers. Spectabilis has been commonly used in traditional medicine for many years. It possesses significant biological activities such as antibacterial, antibiofilm, antifungal and antioxidant properties. It is considered an environmental weed by the Global Compendium of Weeds. As compared to eucalyptus and pine, through exotic do not spread as quickly as other species and are considered easier to manage. Wetland conservation. Wetland refers to almost any habitat where water is key to the environment and its wildlife. Examples: swamps, marshes, billabongs, lakes, salt marshes, mudflats, mangroves, coral reefs, fens, peat bogs are bodies of water, whether natural or artificial, permanent or temporary. Indian government's definition of wetland excludes river channels, paddy fields and other areas where commercial activity takes place. Gujarat is at the top with 34,700 square kilometers or 22.7% of total wetland areas of the country. It is followed by Andhra Pradesh 14,500 square kilometers, Uttar Pradesh 12,400 square kilometers and West Bengal 11,100 square kilometers. It is estimated that wetlands are vanishing 3 times faster than forests and their rate of disappearance is increasing. Eco tax. An eco tax is a market based environmental policy instrument that has been implemented in different forms in many countries all over the world. The idea behind eco taxes is that economic activity leads to environmentally harmful external effects, example carbon dioxide emissions produced by factories or car traffic, and these external effects lead to external costs that have to be paid mostly by the entire society rather than the polluter himself. An eco tax is a tax whose tax base is defined so as to internalize the negative externality generated either from the production or consumption or extraction behavior in an economy. An eco tax therefore should help as a price signal to confront polluters with the ecological sequences of their economic action and follows more or less the polluter pays principle. Eco taxes can be levied on emissions like carbon dioxide, on the consumption of energy, on fuels, power consumption, or on dangerous goods like batteries, fertilizers like nitrate. Traffic Wild Trade Monitoring Network. Traffic, a joint program of the Worldwide Fund for Nature WWF and IUCN. It is a non-governmental organization working globally on trade in wild animals and plants in the context of both biodiversity conservation and sustainable development. Its headquarters is located in Cambridge, United Kingdom. It is a joint program of Worldwide Fund for Nature and IUCN. It is a non-governmental organization. National Board for Wildlife. Prime Minister of India is the chairperson of the board. The National Board for Wildlife is constituted by the central government under Section 5A of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The National Board may, its discretion, constitute a standing committee under subsection 1 of Section 5B. The National Board for Wildlife has 47 members with the Prime Minister in the chair. The standing committee consists of the vice chairperson, Union Minister in charge of forest and wildlife, the member, secretary, and not more than 10 members to be nominated by the vice chairperson from amongst the members of the National Board. Harmful algal blooms. Nutrient pollution from human activities makes the problem worse, leading to more severe blooms that occur more often. Under the right conditions, algae may grow out of control, and a few of these blooms produce toxins that can kill fish, mammals, and birds, and may cause human illness or even death in the extreme cases. Other algae are non-toxic but eat up all the oxygen in water as they decay, clog the gills of fish and invertebrates, or smoother corals and submerged aquatic vegetation. Still others discolor water, form huge smelly piles on beaches, and are contaminating drinking water. Collectively, these events are called harmful algal blooms or HABs. Harmful algal blooms need sunlight, slow moving water, nutrients. Sites and Climate Change Initiative CCCI. UN Habitat's Sites and Climate Change Initiative is the agency flagship initiative supporting sites in emerging and developing countries to address the climate challenge. The initiative supports sites responding to the negative impact of climate change that is already being felt worldwide to put in place appropriate mitigation measures. CCCI is now globally active in 40 cities. Cities and climate change. Cities and okay. UN Habitat provides support in the development of climate change vulnerability assess and climate change action plans. In some countries, CCCI supports policy processes. Urban and local government concerns are integrated in climate change policies, and urban policies need to recognize climate change. Biofertilizers. Rhizobium is a symbiotic bacteria live in the root nodules of legume plants and fix atmospheric nitrogen and ultimately make the soil rich in nitrogen, which is very essential for plant growth. Blue green algae BGA fix atmospheric nitrogen in their special cells called heterocytes and ultimately provide nitrogen to the soil. Both rhizobium and BZ act as biofertilizers. Cyanobacteria, also known as cyanophyta, are a phylum of gram-negative bacteria that obtain energy via photosynthesis. Genetically modified crops. Golden rice is a transgenic and with enhanced vitamin A content. Golden rice is a transgenic with enhanced vitamin A content. Genetically modified crops. The crop plants produced by gene engineering techniques are called transgenics, or genetically modified plants or genetically modified organisms. But Bt cotton produced by incorporating Bt gene, which encodes for Bt toxin, insecticidal protein in Bacillus thuringiensis in the cotton plant. The plant becomes insect resistant, and this gene has also been incorporated in corn, potato, tomato, tobacco, etc., making them insect resistant. Biopesticides. Golden rice is a transgenic with enhanced vitamin A content, producing nutritionally rich rice to save many lives. By slowing down and controlling ripening in tomato by introducing a bacterial gene that prevents ethylene formation, thus delaying ripening. Cold damage to crop plants can be minimized by introducing genes for antifreeze proteins, AFPs, found in the blood of Arctic fishes.